basically what I would like to do is here to bring the beginning and the ending of our meetings somehow together, to bind it together. As you recall, we started our meeting, we opened our meeting with a memorial tribute to Jagdish Kapoor, one of the founders of our organization, passed away in 2010. We showed a video which introduced you to the life and the accomplishments of Jagdish Kapoor. Mention was also made of the new book of essays of Jagdish Kapoor. And we are privileged to have the daughter of Jagdish Kapoor, Chandra Singh, with us. And she spoke about the book in a very warm and engaging way. And we are very grateful for this. You have received a copy of the book. Please read it. It's really nourishment, not only for the mind, but for the soul. Now, we had a session then dealing with Gandhi and Kapoor. We had a session dealing with Gandhi, Kapoor, and Tolstoy. And I started out with a presentation on Gandhi today, because my point was we shouldn't just know about Gandhi, just read about Gandhi, but we should enact Gandhi. We should go with Gandhi forward into the future. And I gave the 3 direction signals which Gandhi has given us, the direction signals: Swaraj, Ahimsa, Satyagraha. Yeah, what does that mean? Swaraj means self-rule, that we are able to rule ourselves responsibly, ethically, Ahimsa, we seek that self-rule without violence. Actually, violence would violate our self-rule. We would violate ourselves. Every act of violence against others is a violence against ourselves. So self-rule, ahimsa, non-violence, and then finally satyagraha, striving for truth, striving for justice. That was Gandhi's goal. It was never to accomplish something in terms of power or armaments or domination. No. He wanted to get away from this whole imperial mentality, from the British Empire, and not replace the empire with an Indian empire, but get away from this with a new conception of politics, not of power politics, but of satyagraha, of pursuit of justice and pursuit of the good life. Now, we had a number of other speakers. I will not be able to summarize all of them, and I apologize to the speakers that I will not be able to do that. They were all very, very good speeches, good presentations. But let me just mention one or two. Dear Ambassador Nazareth presented us with a very, very beautiful introduction about the transformation that both Gandhi and Tolstoy underwent in their youth when they were reckless young people, and they were turned slowly away from a life of disillusion and a life of atheism and nihilism, and finally committed themselves to a life of commitment to goodness and truth and justice. Both of them went through this transformation, and I think it's very educational for young people who frequently are in the throes of despair because they don't know where to go, and they despair of themselves. I can never achieve it. I can never do it. I am in this despair situation where I'm constantly assaulted by the demons of nihilism and atheism. And they went through this. Gandhi went through it. Tolstoy went through it. And came out of it, as a new and strong person, a responsible person devoted to satyagraha. Okay, so we are very much indebted to Ambassador Nazareth. We also have a very fine book we talked a little bit about, a very fine book by Ambassador Nazareth, The Legacy of Gandhi, and we had also during the book presentation some discussion of this book. Then we had a talk about a very surprising thing, namely that Gandhi, in his later life, actually became very much interested in the relation between India and China. that he became interested in some of the great traditions of the Chinese culture, the Confucian traditions, the Taoist tradition, the Buddhist traditions. So Gandhi really embraced that whole East Asian culture with a warm heart and with complete dedication and understanding. And then he told us that, curiously, Jagdish Kapoor, our own Jagdish Kapoor, in the last years of his life, turned to Asian thought and embraced also some of the teachings of Confucius. And I think this is also something. I think this World Public Forum, we should not only embrace, the Gandhian tradition, let's also embrace some of the East Asian traditions, especially Confucianism, which is a beautiful theory of ethics, a beautiful teaching about how to conduct human life. We then had two very fine papers on Tolstoy, which showed us how Tolstoy developed his commitment to nonviolence and non-possession by extricating himself from the possessivism of modern material culture. So it's a fascinating way in which Tolstoy reconstructed himself, reinvented himself, redefined himself over time. We had also a very fine presentation on Tolstoy by our friend who actually came from Greece, who showed us that Tolstoy was deeply interested in ecology. So Tolstoy pointed us a way back to our natural sources, and he pointed to the notion of the law of nature, the old traditional law of nature, which is also a sort of notion of the golden rule. You should follow the golden rule. By conclusion, we had some brilliant discussions of Gandhi offered by two Indian friends, Ashish Nandi and Akhil Bigrami, very dense and finely argued papers, and I hope they will appear at some point in our website. Well, let me now just add a few concluding words. As I said, I wanted to tie the beginning to get together with the ending. We have come together here in Rhodes to commemorate World War I, the senseless brutality and destruction of that war. But we also have come together to renew and strengthen our determination to resist, if possible, to prevent the repetition of the atrocities of that war. This determination must come not only from the head, but also from the heart. Now, mention was already made of Pope Francis and his words on the occasion of a commemoration of World War I in the cemetery in Italy. That was on September 13. He visited the memorial in Redipuglia in Italy. And this is when he said these words which were previously mentioned. I now find myself here in this place, this cemetery, able to say only one thing: war is madness. And he added, whereas God carries forward the work of creation, and we men and women are called to participate in this world, this co-creation, the human task of co-creation with God, driving the world forward, war only destroys and annihilates. It ruins everything, especially the most beautiful work of God's hands, human beings. Now, for Pope Francis, the war was not just an accident or a natural catastrophe. It is engineered, he argued, promoted by people, by warmongers. And he minced no words. He said this: greed, intolerance, the lust for power, these motives underlie the decision to go to war. And they are often justified by an ideology. But first, there is this distorted passion and impulse in the heart. This is the distortion of human nature, which leads us to this passion for war. And he even added this: even today, after the second failure of another war, the Second World War, perhaps one can speak already of a third war, Third World War. One fought piecemeal, crimes, massacres, destruction. In today's world, he said, behind the scenes, there are interests, geopolitical strategies, lust for money and power, and there's the endless manufacture and sale of armaments. This is for Pope Francis. I just say, dear Pope, be careful. People have been killed for saying words like that. Be careful. Certainly a very grim scenario. But then Pope Francis urged us to step back from the brink of abyss and to embrace what we call the culture of nonviolence. Here are words from the heart. Pointing to the rows of graves in that cemetery, he said, "Here are the many victims. Today we remember them. There are tears of sadness. There is pain. From this place we remember all the victims of wars." So it's that, if we think of World War I, it's not just a historical exercise. We have to feel the sadness in our heart for all that was lost, all the humanity that was lost, all the people that were lost. This we have to feel in our heart, that we are ourselves violated by this violation of nature, this violation of creation. We have to be feeling violated. And this is why he said that humanity needs to weep. And this is the time to weep. Yes, dear, yes, indeed. But let me conclude this meeting with a blessing, because I come from a university where the Irish are very strong, and so I will use an Irish blessing. May love and laughter light your days and warm your heart and home. May good and faithful friends be yours wherever you may roam. May peace and plenty bless your world with joy that long endures. May all life's passing seasons bring the best to you.